Welcome to Grace on Fire, supporting one another in bravely creating with wild abandon that which sets our hearts on fire. And we are so blessed and so honored to have a very special guest. Her name is Crystal Dawn Doty, and she is a life coach, and she is also an author, and many other things. But let's give a warm and gracious welcome to Crystal. Crystal, I'm so excited to have you on the program today.
Well, it is an honor to be here. Thank you for what you're doing. I'm enjoying all of your videos and watching the other interviews that you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're such a fascinating woman, such a leader, and so powerful. Just stepping into your powerful. It's your time. It's your time. And I just want to know what is it that has inspired you? You've written this amazing book, What Would Angels Do? How to Be Like the Archangels. Wow. Tell me what inspired you to write this amazing book.
Well, I've always been very connected to the angels. We were just talking before the interview. I was letting her know that I grew up overseas, actually, and there were many times throughout my life that I found myself alone and just not really social. And so developing a relationship with the angels was really a part of my own healing, a part of my own growth. And then in the early 2000s, I ran into the author, Doreen Virtue, and we all know who she is. She's just the angel guru. And I was actually walking through a Barnes & Noble's when her book, The Lightworker's Way, literally fell off the shelf and hit me on the foot. And I picked it up and read it. And it was like she was giving me permission to be outwardly connected to the angels. And what I mean by that is that it was more of an inner life. It was more of just an inner journey. And she really encouraged me to share my message, to get out there and to talk to people about the angels. So it's been, 2016 now, a 16-year journey of just being okay with that and beginning to talk about my connection to the angels and the fact that we are all connected to angels. And I feel a very strong drive to help people connect to the angels, which is, of course, the reason I wrote the book.
Wow. Well, this is so powerful because we all need that connection to the angels, the higher realms, whatever people call it different names. But I've always had a huge affinity with angels. As you can tell, I've got them all over. If you saw my house, you'd lose count.
Yeah.
Because I used to say to the kids, every time we have an angel, a picture, or a figurine, a real angel has to be present to contain that energy.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do. I think that it's a life preserver for many people. And angels are easy. They're non-denominational. I mean, I know that they talk about them in religions, but even religious people or people who have a strong dogma are okay with angels. Even atheists or people that don't believe in God are okay with angels. Because I think that at some point in our lives, we have felt that presence. And we may not know what to call it, and the angels actually don't care if we call it them or not, but I choose to believe that it's our guardian angels, and everybody has them. And so they're easy to talk about to people. It's not a religion. It's not a dogma. It's nothing that you would debate over or anything like that. And they're so not intimidating.
Oh, so true. And so fun. And I'd like to ask you, I know a lot of people are loving your book, What Would Angels Do? I know I have friends that have read your book, and I have friends that have raved about you. And before this interview, I had several people actually call me and tell me that, you're going to love Crystal. She's amazing. I love her book. And so I was so excited to meet you. And I've been told about Watch Me Rise.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so this is actually one of 3 books that I will be writing. This is the first in the series of 3, and the series is actually called the Watch Me Rise Movement. And that kind of came to me one night. I knew I was going to be writing 3 books. The first one is about the archangels. The next one is going to be about the goddesses, how we can be like the goddesses. And then the third one will be about how we can be like the fae, which is the elementals. And the Watch Me Rise movement is a movement for people who are wanting to rise above their negativity, rise above the naysayers, rise above their obstacles, And I do believe that, when you are asking higher powers to help you, that things happen so much more smoothly, so much more powerfully. And the Watch Me Rise movement is really amazing. I actually have a group on Facebook that you can join. It's hashtag Watch Me Rise on Facebook. And that's a place that I post all of my periscopes, all of my just all of my stuff. And it's a great community that I am trying to create for people who are reading my books, going through my programs, because I offer other programs on my website as well, and just a community of people who are growing in that way. So
How fabulous. How fabulous. And people can go, how can they get to your Facebook? Is there a name of the Facebook?
yeah, the Facebook group is Watch Me Rise, but they can find me on Facebook. I'm Crystal Dawn Doty, of course. And then my business name is Clarity is the Way, which is also my website, clarityistheway.com. And they can go to that page as well and like those. So I do pretty good like I was saying, I'm kind of a social media queen. I'm everywhere. So it's the same on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm even on Snapchat and, other things. So
Good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you. So you can reach out to more and more people so they can read your books and access more, they can just find that connection to that power that we all have access to, and you're helping people to reach into that, accessing that power.
yeah, definitely.
Through
It's
your
a lot of
books.
fun. I love technology and I love social media, so it all works out. I guess.
And it works to your benefit, and the angels are working through you through the technology so that you can reach out to more people.
Definitely.
What a
definitely.
perfect time for you to come out.
Mhm, yeah. Technology, like any other tool, can be used for your benefit or used to destroy you, and I'm just definitely into using it to benefit and to also, use it to help spread that word and to spread their message.
And it sounds like you're using everything to
Oh,
the
I am.
benefit. Yes, yes.
I am. If there's a new social media platform, I'm immediately getting into it and trying to figure out, because everybody has their different likes, everybody has their
Yep.
different platforms. So I just want to be there for everybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're
exciting.
such a space of love
Thank you.
and divine
Thank you.
connection for the world. So grateful that you're here on the planet at this time to really raise that vibration, because we're all working together cooperatively. All of us are working together cooperatively. There's a team of us, a team of angels. I would
Yes.
say a team of
Yes.
angels, and
Yes.
you are on that team. You're a major player on that team, Crystal.
Thank you.
Bringing the vibration and the energy into the planet so we can be a transformed
Thank you.
planet, transformed humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a work in progress. It's always stuff that you continue to travel through. Like I said, 16 years ago, if you would have told me that I was writing a book and talking openly about, the angels, I would have wanted to crawl into a hole. I wasn't ready then, but I feel like Spirit is always readying us,
Yes.
and creating these communities and this team. So
Yeah, I'm glad you're on the team. And you've been called a mystic, a modern mystic.
yeah.
Right? Can you tell us a little bit about what a modern mystic is and who you are in that definition?
I actually love that term because I meet a lot of modern mystics. I think that predominantly those are my clients, the people that I coach, the people that I do readings with, and those are the people that I really like to hang out with. But a modern mystic is basically someone who, is very tapped into the ancient or the old ways of doing things. This would be through ceremony, through the use of crystals, through the knowledge of astrology. And visualization and meditation and prayer, just very keen about their connection to their source and the angels. But yet we're in modern day times, and as I was just raving about our technology, through social media, the internet, and the ability to sell, on the internet. My book is on Amazon. Back in the ancient times, I'd have to write it on a scroll and hope that people would find it somewhere sometime, right? But the modern day mystic is someone who also is very interested in being successful in modern times. So these are people who are building businesses, building their health, building their relationships. And so I love to assist people to build those things and use today's strategies and, techniques, but also bring in the wisdom of the ages. Mm-hmm. So if you go to my website, it's called The Modern Day Mystic. But I love the phrase of helping people build their businesses, but also build a crystal altar, to empower that business. So that's kind of the the basis of it. And of course, if anyone's ever interested in learning more or becoming a modern day mystic themselves, they can definitely work with me. It's a lot of fun.
I love it. Wow. What an inspiration. You are a mystic, a modern mystic, and that combining the old with all these new technologies so we can spread that message and uplift this planet one person at a time, one client at a time, one book at a time.
Yes, yes.
We're all, and you're bringing this big impact for that transformation, Crystal.
Thank you.
And I hope that
Thank
a lot
you.
of people can connect with you through this highlight.
Yeah.
People that may not have known you to get, all your gifts.
Me too. I love meeting people. I love assisting people. And yeah. I think the other reason that I like the term modern mystic is that I had this idea in my head that, in order to be intuitive or connected, that there was a certain look. And there's nothing wrong with that look. We all know what look I'm talking about. It's, the hippie look or, and I have an inner hippie for sure. But I'm a lush person too. I like jewelry and makeup and shoes. And when I was really starting to kind of come out of the light worker closet or the angel closet, if you will, I was worried about, well, how are people going to see me? And I think this is a huge judgment, that we're all afraid of when we're kind of stepping out into our spirituality and we're stepping out of the box a little bit. We're like, are people going to think that I'm going to go weird? And the answer is yes. And it's okay to be weird, but it's okay to be weird in your own way. And I'm weird in a really lush way. I want to be a mystic, but I definitely like my updated cell phone and my laptop and, I like nice things. And so for me, it was kind of like maybe twisting that persona for me, so that I could still have the life that I love and still be celebrating in all of the ancient ways and all of the hippie stuff as well. It's like a hippie that wears Prada, if you will. So.
I love it. And giving other people permission to be themselves, however that is.
Yes, yes.
However that is. And there's no mold that we need to be in to be a modern mystic or to be an enlightened, awakened being. We can, awakening, I should say, and enlightening, because we're always growing and always expanding. And to have the example of you lets all the other people have the permission, I can be in my power, I can be in my gifts, and I can be however I naturally, authentically are. And what a great inspiration.
Yeah, we don't have to fit into any type.
No molds, no boxes,
Yeah, totally.
nothing like that. I'm curious what inspired you. Was there an event in your life? Was there something that changed? What happened that inspired this path for you?
Gosh, I've actually had a lot of those instances. When I've been asked that question before, I usually give a different answer because there's a different part, there's different parts of my life that I think that really helped corral me, onto this path. But I will say that there's one particular moment in my life, and I talk about it in my book. I was a pregnant teen. I got pregnant in high school, and the first little while of raising my child alone, single, a young mother, was of course very. It was very difficult. It was really challenging, and I was up against, the status quo. The idea that if you are a young single mother that you are kind of a statistic, that I'm going to be on welfare forever and I'm going to be, uneducated. And there's just a statistic, there's a persona about that. And I had this moment that came about. My son was about 2 years old probably. And I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment that was very rundown. We were on government assistance. I barely had any money. I was working 2 jobs, trying to go to school. It was just really a rough time. And it was towards the end of the month, and I literally had $2 left to my name. And we were walking over to the McDonald's to eat off the cheap menu. And if anyone knows me now, I'm like Miss Health, and they're always like, "You ate at McDonald's?" Well, yes, that's what you do when you only have $2 left to your name. And we were on the way there, and of course, I was very young, and I didn't really know about enlightenment, if that makes any sense. I just was kind of doing what I needed to do: change diapers, go to work, pay bills. And but I was bothered by the fact that my life was the way that it was, and I knew that there was more for me, but I didn't know how to get there, and I just wasn't really receiving a lot of support. On the way to the McDonald's, there was a man that was sitting there, a homeless man with a sign, and I remember thinking, I have more than he does, so I'm not the worst I could be. And I really want to be a step ahead of where I am right now. And in order for me to feel that way, I need to have enough to give to this guy, because I don't want to be on the same playing field. And it was just one of those moments. I don't know if you guys have ever had that moment where you all of a sudden become really present and everything makes total sense. And to the point where you can even still see the sky in that memory. You know, you're just right there. So to prove to myself and to the universe that I was not going to stay this poor single mother, I actually gave this man half of everything I owned, which was $1. So I gave that to him, and I felt really good. I felt like, so I'm not the one that's taking the handout, I'm the one that's giving out. Went to the McDonald's, my son ate, I didn't. I went to bed hungry that night. And it was one of those nights where you kind of toss and turn about, what did I do versus, but I needed to do that. Now, the next thing that happened, a lot of people would consider the miracle. But when I look back, I think the miracle happened when I shifted inside my heart, when I made that firm decision and I made that, just that declaration of, this isn't me anymore. I'm going to be the giver. I don't want to be the taker anymore. So the next morning I woke up early because I was going to go look for change in my car to try to figure out what we were going to do. When I opened my door, there was bags and bags and bags, the brown grocery bags filled with groceries on my front door, on my front step.
Wow. It's beautiful.
And, you know, I remember at first thinking, well, somebody's accidentally left their groceries on my doorstep. And then I kind of hopped over them and looked around the, you know, apartment complex, like, who left this stuff here? And then I realized somebody gave this to me. And it's a sign. It's obviously a sign I'm on the right path, that I gave half of everything I owned to the man. And somebody out there, even though I really tried hard to not let people know how hard I was struggling, saw it. And the miracle to me is not only my shift in awareness and seeing immediate results, but it was that I followed through on my guidance to give, and somebody else out there did too. Yeah. Somebody followed their guidance. And I'll never know probably who this person is that did this for me, but they may as well have left $1 million on my doorstep. Yeah. Because when I was putting those groceries away, and I'm talking, this was not just a week's worth of stuff. And this was like the stuff that you really need, like toilet paper and toothpaste, right? The stuff that I was trying to skimp out on to try to feed us. It was such a moment for me of just validation, that idea that I had to change myself up here. First, I had to get out of the lack and scarcity mentality. I had to stop being the poor single mother on welfare up here. And then eventually, you know, the rest changed. So that's the moment for me. That was just that moment. And yes, it took a long time. I worked my butt off to get out of that situation. And luckily, I did have some family members, my mother specifically, that stepped forward and started to help me. But, you know, I think I had to change up here. And that's such a message in all of my books and all of my programs, is the mentality. And those of you who have read my book or who are yet to read the book, there's a mindset that I teach in every single, you know, angel section here that's so important. So
wow. I'm touched. You choked me up, Crystal. That's a beautiful story. What a beautiful, beautiful story and message in that story. Our consciousness does create, and you shifted your consciousness in that moment, and it shifted everything, because it all starts with consciousness and vibration. And you learned that so young, and you followed through on that. That was a brave act with a child and going to bed hungry. That's so inspiring story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Crystal, you do so much. I mean, you've raised your children. You're a mom. You've written a book. You're on your second book. You go to book events. You're a life coach, correct? You're a life coach. And you do all this social media that you've talked about, that you're doing, that I don't even have a clue. You teach classes. And I mean, there's so many things you do, that you're you know, getting together with clients. So how do you do all these things that you do? You're a mentor. You have a mentor program as well, right?
I do. I have a 6-week mentorship on top of it. You know, I get that. I actually, in every single one of my classes that I teach, somebody's got to ask that. Like, how are you doing all this? Like, do you know how to, like, be in one place at the same time? Or several places. First of all, I love, 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 love everything I do. I really do. There's not one thing that I do right now in my life that I don't absolutely love. And I think that that is a big deal, you know, where it seems like when you're in love with what you're doing, you get it done more effectively, more efficiently. So I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I just heard this phrase the other night at a book event. Somebody in the audience called it activity management, not time management. You can't manage time, but you can manage your activities, right? And so I am a really strict person with my schedule. I run a tight ship. I literally have, and I coach people, you know, I coach entrepreneurs and people who have, you know, their self-made businesses and things like that, and busy mothers and people of all walks of life. And it really does boil down to, you know, the distractions you're willing to get out of your life, the naysayers, the negative people that you're willing to remove out of your life too. Make sure that you've got a really good support group, but really managing your activities. My schedule is really set, and then learning how to be 100% present in everything that you're doing. So when I'm working on my book, I am working on my book. When I am preparing for a book event, I am preparing for a book event. And I've really gotten good, and the archangels have taught me this, especially Archangel Michael, because he really teaches us how to get rid of the distractions. You know, he's focused. He's the leader, right? And so I've learned from him how to just really focus on what I'm doing when I'm doing it, and focus on the love that I feel while I'm doing it. And it just feels like everything flows. You know, there's just rarely a speed bump. And then when there is, I know that speed bump is there divinely. You know, I get to look at it because of the way that I live my life. I know if something comes up, then I'm like, okay, this is obviously coming up. I have to look at that. But that's actually one of the things that I talk about in my book, and so many things that you can learn by being like the archangels and being like the angels, you know, is time or activity management.
That is so inspiring. And you know, I think that I was just thinking the other day, because I raised my children by myself, that actually raising your children by yourself is a great training. I don't regret it, because I had to learn to multitask. I had to learn to be efficient. I remember playing hide and go seek, and at the same time I was picking things up around the house. I mean, you know, I'm coming, where are you? And I'm doing some house cleaning at the same time. But I don't regret any of that, because we become more productive, more powerful women because of that.
I'm telling you, single mothers should rule the country.
Yeah.
We know how to do so many things, and talk about creating peace. You be quiet, you be quiet.
Yeah.
Put everyone in their corners. Yeah,
Oh,
I agree.
yes. Well, Crystal, you are an earth angel.
Thank you.
You
So
are an earth angel. Thank you.
It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you here, and you are truly a leader in this world,
Thank you.
a powerful leader, a spiritual leader. I'm going to label that, even though the angels really aren't any particular label, but they have a spiritual air about them, and you have a spiritual message to bring to the world, and it's powerful, and you are a light being. And I'm so grateful for your book, and I'm grateful that you're writing another one, and I'm looking forward to your next one as well. I haven't read your first one yet.
Well, here I brought you a copy, so it is an honor to be on your show. It really is. I love what you're doing. I love your message. I love your movement as well. And so I would love to give you a copy for you to enjoy and delve into. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I will read this. I'm so excited. I'm so honored. And when I had heard about you, I was thinking, I want to read her book. I want to read her book. And here I have her book. So, and I hope that everybody can read this book and be a part of Crystal's beautiful message and transformation on this planet. Thank you, Crystal, so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your gifts and who you are, the brilliance that you are with the world. Thank you so much. Let's give Crystal a warm hand of applause. Woo! Thank you, and have a beautiful day.